And welcome to your LSU football fix. I am Preston Guy. Today's show is presented by Tramonte's Meat and Seafood. Of course, what's really cool about this show, while I get some people coming in here in the live chat and all that good stuff, we do give away a $25 gift card. If you share the show on Facebook, share it to your favorite Facebook group, whatever, share it to your own feed, whatever. As long as it's public and I can see the share, you're good. We'll enter you. Okay, on YouTube, go over and comment. So if you're watching on Facebook, you want to get another chance, go comment on YouTube. We'll go ahead. Every comment is going to enter you in for a chance to win. I'm very excited about today's show. So last week was talking about who I would pursue as the LSU coach. Just who my back the Brinks truck up to list. Okay, I don't know how realistic they are. We're trying to get to the realistic point with this coaching search. However, what is realistic? How good is the LSU job? What are the resources? What should the reasonable expectations be? So I'm very excited to bring on Ross Dellinger tonight. I'll have him on later. I was going to do some film breakdown of Garrett Nussmeier. And I've got some good little info on why I think the LSU job is undoubtedly a top 5 job. But first, while we got people coming in here, I'm going to thank my sponsor tonight, Tramonte's Meat and Seafood. You can go ahead and pre-order your fried smoked turkeys with them, or even a rotisserie chicken, which is a little bit healthier for you. They have Chairman's Reserve Wagyu beef, deer cleaning and game processing, 30 kinds of sausage, ribeye rolls, which are fantastic. They do tailgating, homegating, whatever you need. Go visit them, Tramontes.com, or give them a call, 225-751-7665, and play their commercial. We'll get right back into it.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
Thank you, Tramonte's Meat and Seafood. Do not forget to leave your YouTube comment and your Facebook shares for a chance to win a $25 gift card at the store. So, what catapulted me into this conversation of just how good the LSU job certainly wasn't LSU's performance on the field against Ole Miss. That was brutal. That was rough. What got me thinking about that was the game day crew discussing how good is the LSU job. Well, they had some lofty praise. They had about a 5-minute segment where mostly good comments were made about LSU, except for, of course, comments about, how they're struggling on the field. Now we're going to watch the end of it where it gets really juicy, and we're going to discuss that. We're going to break it down. So y'all take a listen.
Offenses, and they are. And to me, it's a top 5 job. I mean, LSU is I think USC is a great job. And if you can get SC rolling, it's great. It's different. It's different. LSU is a premier job because of what Reese just talked about. You build it right, it's got staying power, and that high school football in that state, in that region, is good as there is in the country.
It's just like I said previously, when you have Les Miles won national championship at LSU, Coach Orgeron won national championship at LSU, you know it's a top 5 job. All you need to do is be committed to the process and make sure that you can build a fence around the state of Louisiana, because they have a lot of talent in the state of Louisiana.
And they all want to go there.
Yes, sir.
The administration are going to pay your assistants. They're going to pay you well. They're going to have the best facilities in the world. That's why it's a much better job than USC. Everybody's all in at LSU. They want to win national titles, and that's why they have.
And they, Des mentioned, not many places can make that boast, especially in such a short period of time, having 3 different coaches win national championships. Don't discount coaches with NFL backgrounds. That's something that will be very attractive there too, as they embark on that coaching search.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube, the live streaming.
Of course, great clip. That is pretty much the premier college football game day show. I mean, really show whatsoever. There's probably millions of eyes on that show. All 5-minute segment talking about just how good the LSU job is. So I want to break down what I mean, they touched on a lot of the things that you've probably heard echo. What is interesting to me is 5 years ago, when there was an LSU coaching vacancy, 5 years ago, people around the country didn't really get it. And a lot of LSU fans don't get it and still don't get it. LSU is undoubtedly, not a question in my mind, a top 5 football job. Now the national pundits, they get it. They see the things that a lot of the in-the-know LSU people were talking about for 5 years. They see the things that the recruits, the facilities are all there. They see that, dude, Les Miles won a championship and Ed Ogeron. And the fact of the matter is, those coaches don't have a lot of national respect. It just is what it is. Let's see here. Dane Bergeron had a funny comment, but I am not posting that on here because we don't do politics on this show. So y'all get any comments in you want to get in? I'm going to break down real quick my take on the LSU job. I'm probably biased, but I'm going to bring in Ross Dellinger, who's a little less biased later on, to also discuss this. So how good is the LSU job? Well, they've won 3 national championships since the BCS era began in 1998. That is second. There's one other program who has won 3 championships, and that's Alabama. And they're on a run that is unprecedented in American sports. So LSU's right up there with them. And by the way, LSU has had to go head-to-head with them every single year. So keep that in mind. The last 3 coaches have won national championships, and 2 of them aren't well respected. 3 coaches have won a national championship. There's only 3 other teams I could find in college football history that have done that. And quite frankly, I'm a little surprised that there were that many. Michigan did it in the 30s to 40s. The U did it from the 70s to 80s. And Yale did it in the 1900s, 3 straight years, 3 different coaches. Do those really count? You tell me. Okay. 20 consecutive winning seasons. That is second in the country. That is a big deal. Because LSU's been through, the same 3 coaches during that same time. Regardless, ever since Donardo came in and built that wall, and then he got fired, right? But they've been able to kind of, Saban came in and got some wins, winning season after winning season. That is in peril this year. LSU needs to steal one SEC win. They need to either beat Arkansas, A&M, or heaven forbid Alabama. That's another reason I just want to talk about how good the job is tonight, because LSU is off this weekend, and I'm not sure there's a ton of people who want to talk about the LSU-Bama game. Alabama did announce that they had tickets returned from LSU. LSU did not sell their allotment. That is a statement. They're also considering making an 11 a.m. kickoff, which is rough times in Baton Rouge, y'all. So what else makes the LSU job special? 20 consecutive winning seasons. The only other team with a longer streak is actually Oklahoma. 133 players drafted during that period, okay? That's third in the country behind Ohio State and Alabama, who, of course, Alabama's on that unprecedented run. Who are the other top 5 jobs? Well, one of them is Ohio State, one of them is Alabama, as you may have guessed. Ohio State has a similar recruiting territory to LSU, although Cincinnati is about to become a Power 5 team that could play a factor, okay? And they also geographically, LSU has a lot of mileage in between the university and the next closest, because the Mississippi schools are both up north, and there's Houston that's kind of close by to Lake Charles, but I don't think LSU is really competing with Houston for recruits. Additionally, you really have to go to Austin, Texas, which is quite a ways away from Baton Rouge. So you really have to go about 6 hours from LSU's campus. And before that commute, you can go to New Orleans. You can go to Monroe, Lafayette, the North Shore, home of Are You Serious Blake Ruffino. I wonder if he's in the chat here, the Southeast Mississippi guy, Blake Ruffino. If he is, chime in. So there's a lot of players here, and it's really easy to get them because they all grow up rooting for LSU. Here is the next factor why LSU is a great job. And this one, I think, speaks even more volume. 87 of those 133 players were either born or played high school football in Louisiana. That's 15th in the country by itself. Again, let me repeat that. 87 players have been drafted out of LSU in the last 20 years from the state of Louisiana alone. That by itself is 15th in the country. Yo. You mean to tell me that all you have to do is pluck a few players from your own state that grew up rooting for you? You really didn't even have to do much. And then boom, top 15-ish, arguably top 15 program by itself, just on the talent homegrown. You're in the top 15 every year. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. That's the top 5 job. The other jobs are Georgia, who of course splits talent similar to LSU, but Georgia Texan State. So like they said on College Game Day, a little bit of disrespect, but I don't think Georgia Tech is, especially with their scheme and stuff, I don't think they're actually going in and beating Georgia for recruits. So Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU. Those are my top 4, and there's quite a drop off to the next school, in my opinion. I'd probably throw Texas in there. 10 years ago, you could have convinced me Texas is the number 1 job in college football. However, they've been unable to get things rocking and rolling since then. So those are some factors why I think LSU's truly a special job. I didn't want to throw in things like facilities, resources, booster money, all that good stuff, because I think there's 20 or more schools in the country that each are about the same. Once you get to a certain point with facilities are facilities. They're all nice, okay? And I promise you, adding a little waterfall in the locker room ain't going to convince that 5-star recruit to come. There comes a certain point. The facilities are nice, coach. What about my playtime? What about your scheme? What about the coach? Let's see. I'm going to get to some comments here. And then we're going to roll into, I got Ross coming in here in just a bit. So let's see. Who is your pick? That's Ronald John Elias. Ronald, I go after Lincoln Riley and make him say no. And then go from there. Is it realistic? I don't know. I did look up on Wikipedia. This is joking, guys. But I looked up on Wikipedia. Apparently he has 2 dogs named Boomer and Sooner. That might be impossible to bring home to LSU. So we shall see. I don't know. No, I don't think dogs named Boomer and Sooner are going to keep you at a job, but he is tough, and the buyout has been tough to find. I've seen some people say around $10 million. I know the school buyout is astronomical. So we'll have to see. Is it realistic? I would assume that if Scott Woodward's willing to pay a $17 million buyout to make Ed Ogeron not coach football, and willing to pay all that money he paid to Jimbo Fisher, I presume he'll be willing to pay what he needs for Lincoln Riley. That's my pick. I do like Luke Fickell. I'm interested to see what Ross has to say about Luke Fickell coming up. Let's see here. The more I think about it, the more I want the ULL coach. That's Billy Napier. Pickle is Preston's pick. I like Fickell. I do, but I would go Lincoln Riley first. Is LSU still solid with Walker Howard? That's a very good question, Mike Smith. He did go to Notre Dame and on a visit this weekend. And here's the deal. Smart quarterbacks are good quarterbacks. Smart quarterbacks get backup plans. So it's not even unreasonable at all that he has a backup plan. I mean, he doesn't know. I mean, LSU might hire a coach and say, all right, son, you don't fit my system. Go on. That will not happen. But he doesn't know that. That's my point, is he's just getting a backup plan. I think LSU is good. His fibula is healing well. I hear he will be playing for the playoffs. That is a big thing. I cannot wait to see the quarterback competition next year between, hopefully, Miles Brennan stays on campus, Max Johnson, Garrett Nussmeier, who I'm going to do a little film breakdown of later. I think he's an exciting player. And, of course, Walker Howard. That's going to be even more competitive and better than last year's crazy quarterback competition in the spring. Let's see. I could be the fourth coach to win if they give me the job. That's from Lamar Williams. Lamar, I love the comment, man. But that's the thing. LSU's not a tough place to win. They might have to give you a few years, Lamar, because LSU doesn't win it every year. But I definitely get where you're coming from. Josh Forbes, I nominate you. Hey, look, I'll do it for 1/10. I've already put my application in. Sorry to all my current employers, but if LSU wants to hire me, I'm gone. Let's see here. Georgia is the biggest spender in recruiting with $3.6 million a year. Alabama second, Tennessee, Clemson, Arkansas, all spending more money than LSU. That's Mike Andrews. Mike Andrews, great comment, but here's the deal with LSU's recruiting. LSU has the money to spend on recruiting. So why aren't they? Well, how much money do you need to spend on recruiting when half your recruiting class is within 100 miles of campus? Much less is the answer. I promise you, LSU is doing just fine with their recruiting. Esteban, what's up, PG? What's going on, Esteban? Esteban's been a long-time fan of the show. Let's see here. Lonnie, 5-0 to Atlanta. Talking about baseball. Yo, this is the LSU football fix, man. Let's get that out of here. I read that Franklin was hiring Sexton for his agent, and rumors of him leaving are swirling. Of course, that is Jimmy Sexton, agent of most of the top coaches, and he is a fiend. I mean, he is a monster to deal with. So yes, the rumors are going to be swirling that he's leaving. I don't think he comes to LSU. I don't think LSU wants him. I think he's a good coach. I don't think he's the best coach. I think look elsewhere. Lincoln Riley, period, exclamation point, Blaine Smith. I'm right there with you, man. Go make him say no. I think he's the best, attainable-ish coach in college football. It's not like, I'm not saying Dabo. There's three guys more untouchable than him. I think Dabo, I think Nick Saban, and I think Kirby Smart are kind of like, come on, dude. Ryan Day, same category. Okay. You just come on, get on with your life. Notre Dame might be Walker's, Howard's check down, but LSU, Daniel Glenn nailed it, man. Nailed it. Let's see here. He has been signed with them since summer. Not signed, Lonnie. You can't sign until December. But he's been committed, and I know him very well. And no, he's. I feel very confident. He announced his commitment with TigerBait.com. By the way, great video we made. Stat Dub made a very humorous comment making fun of a lot of the coaching names. Is there any chance that Peyton Manning would be an option? Good comment. Let's see here. Do I have any good comments here? What has Riley done? All right. What has Riley done? He's gotten his tail kicked in the playoffs year in and year out, hasn't figured out how to put a defense on the field. That is Brian Abity. All right, Brian, let's talk about it. This is a week ago I made this graphic. I just have it in the system. I didn't update it. You saw my other graphic I prepared tonight. He's 52, now 53-8 as Oklahoma's head football coach. That's over an 866 win percentage. He's had 2 Heisman winning quarterbacks. He's considered an offensive guru. His yard per games rankings have been 1, 3, 10, and 14. He is 0-3 in the college football playoff. He is hard to attain. He's going to have a big buyout, and his defenses have struggled. However, he's made the playoffs how many times? 3. Okay. He's been a very good coach. And I wonder if he thinks he's maybe hit a ceiling with talent recruiting to Oklahoma and needs to get to a place like LSU with more elite caliber athletes to be able to bust on to that next level. I don't know that. It's speculation. That's where I wonder. But no, let's put it like this. If you're bashing Lincoln Riley and then saying hire Mario Cristobal, if you're bashing Lincoln Riley and then saying hire Bill Napier, if you're bashing Lincoln Riley and really going after Luke Fickell, come on, dude, check yourself. Like it's foolish. He's accomplished more than any other name you're going to realistically hear. I know I said Urban Meyer last week. I'm just telling you that's who I would go after. He's not coming. It's not realistic, y'all. Come on. I'm not even Hugh Freeze. I'm not even going to put the comment on the screen. Hugh Freeze will not be considered. Why would Riley leave Oklahoma? Richard, I don't know if he does. It's not very likely he does. I'm just telling you, I think that's your first guy you should make say no. It's tough to get a guy as entrenched as Lincoln Riley is at Oklahoma to say no, to say yes and come. But LSU is the better job. LSU will back the Brinks truck and make an offer that's worth his time. He can get better athletes at LSU. And guess what? He's coming to the SEC anyways. So, you know, most of OU's athletes come from the Dallas area. Very good comment, Dane Bergeron. You have to work for those Dallas boys. Okay, I promise you, Dallas, they ain't growing up thinking, man, I can't wait to go play for the Sooners one day. They probably hate the Sooners. They're probably all UT fans. So I'm sure the recruiting base for LSU is tremendously better than Oklahoma's. Oklahoma's had some very good coaches over the year. Let's see here. Let's see here. Realistic coaching. Realistic. Well, and that's what I want to talk to Ross Dellinger about in a bit. So y'all tune in. Realistic coaching candidates: Matt Canada, Aranda, Tucker, Napier. Well, I would. Those are very, very realistic. Here's what doesn't sit right to me about those names. I'm putting them back up on the screen. Comment came in. Matt Campbell, Dave Aranda, Mel Tucker, Billy Napier. Scott Woodward has made big time hires in his career. Okay. If he were to hire any of those guys, that would be the most underwhelming hire in his track record. Now, pair that with the context of he just fired a championship winning coach of the 15-0 Heisman winning greatest team in college football history, Tigers of 2019. He fired him 21 months later at his hometown school, by the way, LSU. And you think he's about to make the most underwhelming hire of his career? I don't know. That just doesn't sit right with me. It really doesn't in a lot of ways. Let's see here. You think Woodward's throwing everything at Dabo? No, I don't. Let's see. I want Mel Tucker. I get where you're coming from. Rick Kelly has a good comment about Brian Kelly. I think that's a name that might slip onto the radar. Might slip in. We'll see. Let's see. Is LSU really throwing $12 million a year out there? Brian Abity, I'm gonna tell you, as far as I know, oh my gosh, these comments are moving so fast. I missed clicking the button, y'all. There's pew pew pew. Yeah, for the right guy, I think LSU does throw $12 million a year out, and it sounds insane right now. But just like we're seeing with Jimbo Fisher's contract that he got offered 5 years ago, he's now middle of the pack in salary. So I think that Scott Woodward just gets ahead of the game a couple years and puts out something that's unprecedented right now. But it turns out he's just ahead of the game. All right, guys, I got Ross coming in here. We're about to run him in just a second. I do want to thank my sponsor, Tramonte's Meat and Seafood. Remember, you can go ahead and pre-order your turkey, smoked, fried, rotisserie, however you like it. Go ahead and get that at Tramontes.com. They do deliver and cater. So Tramontes.com or give them a call, 225-751-7665. They do deer cleaning and game processing if you're a hunter in the area, 30 kinds of meats and sausage. They have a ribeye roll, which is out of this world good. It's the best piece of meat I've ever had. They do tailgating, homegating, whatever you need. They're open Saturdays 9 to 5. They have their lunch deli open till about 3. So if you want some prepared food, they're located on Old Jefferson near Parkview Baptist. Visit Tramontes.com. Oh, and remember, they're kind enough where if you comment on YouTube or share on Facebook, they will be providing a $25 gift card to a winner. So y'all go ahead, leave your comments, hit your shares on your Facebook. Share on Facebook, YouTube, comment. We're going to hear from them, and then we're going to go straight into Ross. We're going to get Ross in here. So
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. daily lunch specials, and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
All right, and we'd like to thank our sponsor, Tramonte's Meat and Seafood, for presenting today's show. Without further ado, here is Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated. Ross, how's the bourbon in DC?
So about the same as it is in Baton Rouge, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Well, that's good to hear. So I'm really excited to bring you on today because I'm really looking to get some more national perspective on the LSU job and what the national, how the national search is going, and more importantly, kind of what the perception is nationally. We saw on College Game Day some very lofty praise and opinions about the LSU job presented by notable names. What is your take on the national perception of just how good is this LSU job?
Well, I think most would agree nationally that is a top five job, maybe a top three job when you look at the three buckets of how you might rate jobs. I think it starts with what kind of recruiting territory your recruiting base is, and LSU's is pretty incredible. They're the only major state school in Louisiana, so they kind of own that footprint, and they're right next to East Texas in the Houston area, not far from Dallas, and so they're really in one of the better recruiting areas. So that's number one, and the second bucket I say is just resources. There's certainly no lack of resources at LSU and football support. The money, I think, it evident by paying Ed Orgeron $17 million not to coach is probably a pretty good sign that there's a good amount of money there. I remember, I think it was LSU was the first. If you go all the way back to Nick Saban coaching there, they were the first school to make a college coach a $2 million man with Nick Saban, and then they were the first college, I believe, to make a college coordinator a $2 million man with Dave Aranda. So a lot of money there. And then I think the third and last bucket are just kind of similar to the resources, but it's just the facilities and what kind of facilities they currently have, and they're pretty good. The facilities are pretty solid at LSU. Got a little better, I know, last couple years with the renovations to the football operations building. So you look at those three areas, and they're certainly top five, if not better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. And obviously, you have a history covering LSU, formerly working with the Advocate here in Baton Rouge. My question is so all those points you're bringing up, when you talk to people around the country about this job who might not necessarily cover LSU for a living, are they kind of aware of that stuff when, if it's ever brought up, or are they kind of just out of the loop about the success and what's going on in Louisiana with LSU?
Oh, I think most people nationally understand how good of a job at the LSU job is. I don't know how much fans from you know the West Coast or so quite understand it, and maybe some other areas that aren't just as familiar, as close geographically to the south and to Baton Rouge. I think a lot of fans were maybe surprised in a survey that was done, I know, by The Athletic earlier this year, just polling around coaches and administrators about the best job in LSU. I think it was like number 5, I want to say, and I think that caught some by surprise. And if you've never been to Baton Rouge and kind of been around campus, sometimes you don't quite understand the facilities and the resources that are there for you. And the recruiting territory of Florida and Atlanta get a lot of coverage, but you don't see as much necessarily sometimes in New Orleans and over in East Texas. So I think there can be some surprise from a fan perspective. But from people in the know, I think they're well aware that that LSU is one of the best jobs in America.
It's good to hear. So with that in mind about this being a top 5 job, I really haven't heard much lashback that it is a top 5 job. I heard a little bit 5 years ago, but now I think people kind of understand 3 straight coaches to win a championship. That means something. Only a handful of programs have ever done that. So in terms of who is LSU going to pursue for this job, one of the things I keep on hearing, as I kind of took the perspective of who would you like if you're an LSU fan, removing some unreal, remove Saban from the table and stuff. But then, of course, the backlash is, well, this guy's not realistic. That guy's not realistic. Have you seen, his buyout? Why would he leave Oklahoma? Why would he leave this? He's an Ohio guy. What is quote unquote realistic for LSU's expectations for this job? I mean, should LSU be expecting to go get a guy who's established at a good job?
Well, I think if you look at Scott Woodward's kind of MO of his hires, that's what he's done. He's gone out and hired coaches who are very much established, have championships already won, have been coaching for a while, and paid them a lot of money to come to his school and coach. So that is his MO in with a place like LSU with the resources and recruiting and money that we just talked about. I think that's something that certainly can be done there, and I would expect it. I would expect that kind of hire, that kind of splashy, big name, big money hire. I would be surprised if it drifts toward anything different than that. Having said that, it'll be interesting to see how that pursuit maybe of those big names goes, because LSU just fired a coach that less than 2 years ago won a national championship, and the pressure cooker of Baton Rouge is something that a lot of coaches are aware of, and not a lot of coaches are drawn to that, especially guys with big families and jobs where they have it's a little cushier, and it's a situation that they're more comfortable in. So that's good. The one big probably drawback, and maybe one of the only drawbacks of the job, is that, well, number one, you're in the toughest division in the country, with Nick Saban, but number two, just the pressure that you're on to win there, and we all know there's just not a lot of time given to new coaches, not long leashes given to them in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say on that division, that conversation may change very quickly with Texas and Oklahoma being added to the SEC, and almost certainly a pod type setup coming from that. So some interesting elements to the conversation, talking about the pressure of the job, which is undoubtedly absurdly high. Ross, are you currently aware of any coaches in the country or agents who have been contacted about interest in the LSU position?
No, not really. There's just a lot of times during this time of year. There's a lot of reports, there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of buzz. Um, it's really hard to believe anything, and certainly hard to believe everything that you hear. It's just there's going to be a lot of that as we go through the next probably month or so. So I'm sure that LSU, through back channels, really how it usually works is, intermediaries of the athletic department, or sometimes the AD directly, talks to agents of head coaches, and a lot of agents like a Jimmy Sexton or Trace Armstrong, they represent a lot of coaches. So there's discussions with them of all their candidates. So I am sure that has taken place, where there's a feeling out of different candidates represented by different agents. I'm sure that has taken place. I'd be shocked if any specific candidate had talked directly to LSU right now, being it's in the middle of the season. But those things will probably happen later in the year. Maybe it'll take, Thanksgiving week, maybe even the week after Thanksgiving for that stuff to happen. So that's usually the time where you have more direct communication and serious communication.
Yeah, absolutely. So the top 2 names, I did a straw poll last week of LSU fans, putting literally just 30 names on the list. Who do you want, right? Top 2 names the fans picked were Lincoln Riley and Luke Fickell. Okay. And I've had some people in the know tell me that both of them are realistic. I've had some people say just Fickell's realistic. I've had some people say both of them are realistic. Okay. Can you start with Lincoln Riley and tell me, is that at all realistic for LSU to pursue a guy, or is he untouchable?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, if you look at his situation there, he's obviously done really well there. He's got a freshman quarterback that has an incredible upside. In about 3-4 years or so, they're going to be moving into the SEC, and I'd be curious to know what he thinks about his resources at Oklahoma competing in the SEC as opposed to other places. Now I believe that Lincoln, has had opportunities or at least interest from the NFL, and so that's something to think about through all this. Would he jump to a college job, from one college job to another, instead of going to the NFL? So there's that. As far as Luke Fickell, I think I will revert you back to the conversation about the pressure of the LSU job, in how maybe some coaches don't necessarily want that, don't necessarily need that. I believe Luke Fickell has 6 children, I think 2 sets of twins, if I've gotten it right. If not, just 1 set of twins. He's a family guy for sure. He's in a situation at Cincinnati where in about a year and a half, 2 years or so, they'll be switching over to Power 5. He's an Ohio guy, I believe, that it feels like will stay in the Midwest. So that one is actually maybe a little more difficult for me to see. And then, of course, there's another big job on the market out west in LA, and that job is attractive for a lot of people and a lot of coaches. And I think LSU and USC will probably cross paths on a lot of their candidates. I think a lot of different candidates. That might be one. The current USC AD is the one who hired Luke Fickell at Cincinnati, so there's a lot of connections there.
Interesting. Very interesting perspective. Glad I brought you on for that. I think the consensus here is neither one of us are placing bets on who the next head coach is going to be. It's a pretty wild search and a deep pool. Ross, 21 months ago, we ran into each other on Bourbon Street after a national championship. What would you have done if I told you since that game LSU would go 500 and Orgeron would be out as the head coach? I mean, could you have ever seen this coming?
Probably not this quickly. But I've seen this coming. Yes, this is something that almost no coach's tenure ends well. It's just that's the way it works. Almost all coaches eventually get fired, or a very, very small amount of them retire in their jobs. Very small amount of them leave for other jobs when you're in a big major conference gig like LSU. So this was kind of an inevitable end, I think. And I just probably didn't see it happening. Is it 17 games or so later? 18 games or so later. I didn't see that happening as quickly. The fall was quicker than I had anticipated. And a lot. And again, it's probably is more than wins and losses. I think that's been documented. Scott Woodward, sees he's closer than anybody. He's in that football operations building a lot, from what I understand, and so he sees what's going on and the inner workings. And yeah, he decided to pull the trigger a little sooner than I had anticipated.
Yeah, it's a crazy world, college football, but it's nice, while you can pull in the 7.5 million a year. It's sweet times for that. Ross, thank you so much for popping in. I'm really glad to hear your perspective. There's very few minds who understand the national scape of college football quite like you. Can you tell everybody how to keep up with your work, where to follow you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, you can. I'm available at si.com and on Twitter at just my name. It's Ross Dellinger.
All right. Thank you, Ross. And before we hop off with Ross, I want to thank my sponsor, Tramonte's Meat and Seafood. We're going to hear from them real quick.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and Homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
Oopsie daisy. Thank you, Tony Freeman, for sponsoring Mike's Wednesday night show, which will air tomorrow night. But accidentally, her graphic got shoved in there. So anyways, thank you, Ross, for joining us tonight. Y'all stick around because I'm going to do a little film breakdown of Garrett Nussmeier. Before I get to that, I had a lot of awesome comments that I couldn't really get to. Ross had a tight schedule. So let's see here. Oops, scrolled a little too high there. Let's see here. Ribeye roll. That's Lamar Williams. Lamar, the ribeye roll at Tramonte's is a strip of ribeye, good quality ribeye meat wrapped around cream cheese and jalapeno and wrapped in bacon, man. I promise you, it's the best thing I've ever eaten. Go try it. Let's see here. Let's see here. Commercial, much better, not blowing up our ears. That's Carl the cat. Thank you, guys. I've been working a lot on the audio levels to fix it, so thank y'all. Let's see here. Why do you and Mike keep ignoring our thoughts about switching quarterbacks? John Marion, you stick around. Don't you leave this live show, you coward. You stay. And I want you to own this comment because I'm talking Nussmeier tonight. Why do we keep ignoring it? Well, we answered the question to open up the show last time. The answer is that Max Johnson has been a good quarterback with lots of experience, and you don't start a true freshman against Alabama. And I'm going to show you a play where he made a very long completion. However, I'm going to show you what he needs to do to be a more veteran quarterback and more consistently successful, because you're going to see two throws he made that were reliant on a perfect throw and perfect catch, right? One of them was a good decision. One of them was actually the wrong decision, but it worked out well. So you stick around, John Marion, and I'll show you some film on Nussmeier. Why don't you take starting him seriously? You don't start a true freshman quarterback on his first start ever on the road at Alabama. You just don't. Now, I'm mix him in some because I mean, he showed some promise. He's an exciting young player. I'd be interested to see where he fits in the long-term scheme at LSU with Walker Howard coming in right behind him and Johnson doing his thing. Let's see here. Oh, wait. This was the funny comment just a bit ago. Let's see if I can find it. Same guy, Lamar Williams. Let's see here. Lamar. Where's your comment about good meat ain't cheap and coaches ain't either? Let's see here. All right, so look. Lamar made a comment earlier. He said, it's funny. The sponsor says good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Good coaches ain't cheap and cheap coaches ain't good. LSU, that should be your philosophy presented by Tramonte's Meat and Seafood. Good coaches ain't cheap. Cheap coaches ain't good. Roll with it. Let's see here. A couple more good comments. No doubt LSU is a top 5 coaching. Dan Vlasky of Go Edits. By the way, if y'all don't follow him on Twitter or whatever, go follow him. Great guy. Love him. We are good friends of the show. Which assistants personnel are most likely to stick around? Raymond, Joseph, McMahon. And by the way, I butcher names, guys. I'm sorry. I just do. I talk fast and I can't keep up my tongue. I keep on saying Matt Corral. I know his name. I've heard it a million times. Matt Corral comes out every time. I butcher names. Forgive me. Anyways, so Raymond is most likely to stick around. I'm not sure you see assistants stick around. I think it's going to be mostly cleaning house. Raymond would be the one who's most likely, because if you're going to go hire a DB coach, who in the country is better than Corey Raymond? That's the one I would definitely see stick around. Let's see here. How many splashy hires are out there? Maybe 3 at the most. That's a good comment by Jim Milano. By the way, Jim Milano is in the show every single week. Really appreciate you for being a part of the show, Jim Milano. Splashy hires. Chris Peterson, that's a splashy hire. Lincoln Riley, that's a splashy hire. Mike Tomlin, splashy hire, but he completely shut it down in a disrespectful manner today. I thought about running the clip, but then I was like, man, everybody saw it already. Everybody heard it. He basically said, there ain't no college booster with enough money in the world. Are you talking to other coaches about taking college jobs? He looked at college as almost beneath him. Preston, you had me sold on Urban last week. Jim, I'm telling you, if it's me, I'm going to go talk to him and make the offer. I'm just telling you it's not very likely it happens because of a number of reasons. But he's an incredible coach. JG, Lincoln Riley equals bad hire. Of course, follows that up with get Kiffin. Look, man, Lincoln my tongue got twisted there, guys. Lane Kiffin is a poor man's Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley is like Lane Kiffin without all the baggage. Equally genius. Heisman winners galore. But he's been able to actually manage a program consistently. Lane Kiffin has not. And I want to see Lane Kiffin put it together he was 5-5 last year. Lane Kiffin has a lot of hype. And actually, I'm going to point out 2 plays where Nussmeier ate up his defense with bad defensive scheme. I'm not saying Lane Kiffin's a terrible hire. I'm just saying Lane Kiffin is like strictly better. Let's see here. Great tradition, recruiting hotbed, great fan base, and new coach. Will not be following a legend. That's another big thing. You don't really want to follow a legend. Let's see here. Oh man. Let's see here. It jumped on me. It's going to be Mel, people. It could be, but here's the thing about Mel Tucker. Again, I'll say it again. If he were to hire Mel Tucker, it would be the most underwhelming hire of Scott Woodward's career. And does he really do that after firing a championship-winning coach 21 months later at his alma mater? I think he's got something up his sleeve. And quite frankly, we could be wasting our time talking about all these names. That's why I didn't want to go too in deep on names and talk about the caliber of LSU's caliber of LSU's team. I've got a few names here. All right. 0 chance of Hugh Freeze? Yes. That's it. Yes. No, 0 chance of hiring him. Let's see here. I'm going to make sure, see if we have any good comments here. You totally misinterpreted the comments by Tomlin. He was just stopping all the BS rumors about him leaving for the college job. No, John, here's the deal. He disrespected the college job. He said, are y'all asking Andy Reid about taking college jobs? He doesn't want to go to college. He's good. He looks at NFL as an higher gig, and he's kind of right in a lot. Stop with the Mel Tucker and Billy Napier. Woody ain't hiring them. Well, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think they're bad coaches by any means. However, I can't see him all the things leading up. I can't see him firing a championship coach at his alma mater, hometown team. I can't see it. And then making the underwhelming hire. Like, that's just an okay hire. So we're going to hop into some Nussmeier film breakdown. I need to see some Garrett Nussmeier. What an exciting athlete. Garrett Nussmeier is. I'm really stoked that I get some real film to break down of him today. I'm going to do 2 plays here, okay? And they're back-to-back plays, by the way, on this highlight reel, so that's cool. I don't even have to bounce around window to window. Okay, so as we can see here, he's got trips left. Tyrion Davis off to the right. And what you're going to read here is you've got 3 men down. Those are going to end up being your only 3 guys who rush. He's got a 3-man rush coming at him. And you're going to see a really weird zone. And in fact, if you look at this formation, it looks like they've got 3 safeties, right? But they aren't going to run a cover 3 or cover 4 like they should be. They're up 21 points in the ball game here late. So Nussmeier, what's he see?
Be surprised if they run them.
Boom. I'm going to pause it here. Okay. I think this is Jaray Jenkins here. Kind of runs a weird route where he sits on it. It looks like he's not giving full effort, but I assume this is an underneath dig as these receivers, both Besh and Neighbors, take the coverage up, and you're supposed to hit him underneath. However, as you're about to see, that's not where his eyes go. It goes to the right. Obviously, his first read's over here. Now, safety, this one has abandoned his deep zone, and it's already gone. And he sees that already. So you've got man-on-man coverage. However, it is good and tight on a big corner. I don't know how big he is, but that's a 6'5" Brian Thomas he's on. Now, we'll fast forward just a hair. And this is what I want to see for Nussmeier. This is an acceptable throw. Throw it up, 50-50 chance, right? That's not the throw. This is the throw. Especially if you're trying to come back in the ball game, because he's got an easy out of bounds. So hit Tyrion Davis Price in stride, get out of bounds, or maybe if it's not clock crucial situation, go inside and fight for some more yards. I mean, look how wide open that is, guys. Easy peasy. But Nussmeier, and this has been representative of all of his time at quarterback, he's looking downfield. And it works out. I'm going to tell you why. By the way, shout out to this pass protection on a 3-man rush, because that's not something you've been taking for granted all year at LSU. So he's decisive, though. He sees his man-on-man coverage. He's going to take that. Look, man, I'm convinced he's just going to take it every single time. I don't think Nussmeier is ever going to pass up man-on-man coverage on a fade route. So he takes it. Let's see how it turns out. Goes up, 6'5" receiver. Gets it. Perfect throw. Perfect sideline coverage. It all worked out. There's Chester Boucher of Channel 33.
Man.
Booyah. So that's an insanely talented throw. Right on the money. Zip line. Get it up to your receiver. Let him go make a play. That's why LSU is LSU, because you got athletes like Brian Thomas growing up 25 minutes from campus. Now, we're going to transition here to an incredible throw and decision by Nussmeier. I disagree with the decision on the last one. Maybe coaches were telling him to take that just because, I mean, you're in YOLO mode. It's 31-10, 4 minutes to go. Screw it, throw up. But in normal football scenarios, even football scenarios where you have to be aggressive with the clock, that's not right. That's not what you do. You do the check down there. And Nussmeier needs to work on his check downs, be more conservative with the ball. Almost the exact same formation. Okay. 3 weird safeties. I don't even know what to make of it, man. The corner's playing off. You got 3 corners, 3 safeties, and you're running a 3-2 in the box. You're only going to run 3 men. A little questionable that Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss here is running the same. I think it's the same exact play, y'all, with this weird underneath zone crap going on here. So what's Nussmeier do? Steps up, looks calm. What you read here? Well, oh boy is going to be running up there. Okay. You got underneath throw with Jaray Jenkins right there. And you got zone coverage that he's running to. He's going to be your underneath receiver here. And then Malik Neighbors is going to be streaking almost like a flag route, but it's a little more deep than a flag route. And he's going to bust out here. This is your open spot on the field. And he's going to attack it. And you're going to see there's not much room to work with. Of course, there's not much room to work with. There's 8 guys defending. 4 receivers, because, of course, Tyrion Davis Price is blocking. It's 2-1. Of course, you're going to have to make a tight window throw if you get a throw at all. So Your alternative is step up in the pocket and go scramble for some yardage. Probably what Ole Miss wanted to have happen there, truth be told. Instead, this is why LSU fans are so excited. Clean pocket, clean vision. None of this crap is open except for this. A zipper. Excuse me? Let's see that again.
Nussmeier, plenty of time. Throw.
He made the right decision, guys, but you can't teach that. First off, just notice how quick the release is. Second off,
9-yard line.
notice it's an absolute zipper. Let's watch it in lifetime. Just how beautiful is this?
Nussmeier, plenty of time. Throw.
Boom.
Got it. Touchdown LSU.
Can't teach that, guys. Nussmeier's he's an absolute dude. He's a player that is talent, but you saw in the first play, he needs to become a complete quarterback. I've made this tweet several times. Every single time Nussmeier enters the game, it's like it's 4th and 13 and his team's down 4 points and he's just trying to win the entire game. It's pretty wild. I'm gonna get to a few more of your comments. I want to hear your comments. I know I haven't gotten to engage with too many comments tonight. We're gonna end here in about 10 minutes. Okay. So get your comments in. I'll get to them and we'll thank our sponsor one more time before we roll out of here. Remember, if you want your chance to win a $25 gift card, comment YouTube, share Facebook. Let's see here. I'm gonna go back a few minutes. Let's see. Let's see here. Kids have nothing to do with it. That is not true. When you're hiring a coach, they always think about the atmosphere for the kids. Here's the deal. You heard Ross talk about Luke Fickell's relationship with the USC AD. Is that enough? I don't think Los Angeles is considered the better place to raise 6 children at than Baton Rouge. I could be wrong, but I don't know. It definitely plays a factor, though. I mean, the coaches are people. It's not just the job. It's the people behind it. Let's see here. He is much more consistent than Max, John Marion. John Marion, based on his stats and decision-making, he is not the more consistent quarterback. And he's sailed some throws. He's missed some throws, just straight up accuracy misses too. I don't think Nussmeier is going to be your more consistent quarterback. You're going to get some days he'll come out 1 touchdown, 200 yards, 3 interceptions. I think you'll get some other games where, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 400 something yards. The dude's a gunslinger. Could he be better than Max Johnson? Maybe, but you're not going to break him in for his first start against Alabama on the road. Let Max do his thing a little bit and then maybe give Garrett a try. But I definitely see where people are coming from with Garrett. He just moves quicker. Stir it, Preston. If Nuss is better, he would have started the season up. I'm not stirring anything. I'm not advocating for Nuss to start. I could see him getting some play time. Clearly, Max Johnson's been a solid, good quarterback. We're talking about a 20-plus touchdown guy. He's going to be flirting with Matt Mock's place in the record book for touchdowns. Let's see here. Max said they're working with a 5-man protection during the bye. Max will be killed by Tuscaloosa if they do that. If you get it out quick. The problem with Max is he's got a bit of a slow release. Let's see here. At this point in the season, does it really matter? Shake things up regardless of who the opponent is. All right, let me show you where it does matter. I'm going to go back to my little graphic here. How good is this LSU job? Well, you got your 3 titles, 3 coaches to do it. 20 consecutive winning seasons on the line. That's a serious perception point. It's the second longest streak in the country just behind Oklahoma. You want to keep that alive, if at all possible. It does matter. It does. It's not, and LSU needs to fight to get that 6th win and earn their bid to the Liberty Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana. Let's see here. Walker Howard is the only elite committed quarterback committed to LSU or in the quarterback room. I mean, Walker Howard is an absolute beast. That throw was in triple coverage. Triple-ish. I don't know if you necessarily count that third guy. I thought about saying triple coverage, but I'm going to say at least double. For sure double. But he put it exactly where he needed it to be. I haven't seen a throw that good since Joe Burrow. So that tells you something. Let's see here. That play alone is why he needs to replace Max. He has intangibles Max doesn't have, but that means Max brings some things to the table that he doesn't bring. I'm not saying it's not time right now. I will tell you, if I'm ball coach, I'm not giving a true freshman his first start at Alabama. Are you crazy? No. How can you judge an LSU quarterback with this awful L line? That's a good point. Look, I genuinely believe with a clean pocket to stand in and throw, I think Max Johnson might be a better quarterback than Garrett Nussmeier. He makes better decisions. And he makes some good, darn good throws when he has time to step up in the pocket with a clean throw. Nuss is not more consistent. Be thankful we have Max. Nuss has not made it through a season with the shots that Max has taken. Great comment. I agree, Dame. Great comment. Bad O-line defines a good QB. Yeah. Let's see here. He's 18. Chill out. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a lot of pressure to put on a kid. I mean, I know we've seen a lot of but you don't want freshmen rolling out there, man. You want experienced players. Really need to focus on this recruiting class, finish strong, use portal wisely, improve depth. That's true, but you got to find a coach to do it. And Ogeron's sort of recruiting right now. But I think he's recruiting as hard as he can? No. Brennan lit it up last year before getting hurt. Johnson had 2 good games, and this fan base was screaming Max was going to beat Brennan for the offseason. Now, against second and third string, people are screaming for Nuss. The O-line has been terrible for 2 years and calling trash this year. Yeah, it's been a shuffle, man. And that's the thing is, there's a saying, the backup quarterback is the most popular player on every team. And this is exactly why, because unless you're winning big, people are always going to call for the backup quarterback. So be careful what you wish for. But I do see what people see in Nussmeier. It does look exciting, maybe. And I just wonder, because Brennan is technically still on this team. And a lot of the buzz I've heard around him is that he might not necessarily be pressed to go somewhere and go be a starter somewhere. He might want to stick around at LSU because he loves LSU. So you might be looking at 4 quarterbacks with Brennan, Nussmeier, Johnson, and Walker Howard, the number 1 quarterback in the country. There's obviously going to be pressure to get him on the field fast. How do you handle that? Where does Nussmeier fit in? It's truly tough. I don't think it's going to play out like an NCAA video game where, all right, the 5th-year senior starts. Okay, great. Now we've got 5th-year Max Johnson, who and all the other guys will stay put. Then Nussmeier comes in as a 4th-year junior. All right, and now here we go. Here's 4th-year junior Walker Howard. It rarely works out. Rarely works out like that. Let's see. You're literally saying the same thing about Nuss that was said about Max when he should be the starter over Miles and TJ. All right, E-Dub. I called for Max Johnson to start over TJ Finley a long time before it happened last year. We weren't talking about a veteran quarterback who was playing solid football. Those situations are the opposite of each other. We're talking about 2 true freshman quarterbacks duking it out. One guy has 1 good game and then basically tanks it for the rest of the season. LSU's defense held Texas A&M to 20 points and just could not move the ball. Lost that game because they couldn't get a quarterback to go out there and just not turn the ball over and just kind of sort of do it. And Max Johnson did exactly what we thought he would do last year. Just kind of, 50-ish completed pass, run a little bit, just kind of ran the offense averagely. He's taken a step forward this year and ran it passing-wise above average. And I think that he could develop to be even better beyond that. So I wouldn't write him off quite yet. Those situations are very different. I was calling for Max Johnson much sooner than we ended up seeing him last year. I thought they stuck with TJ Finley way too long. Now, E-Dub, I will tell you, there is the potential there looking at Nussmeier. He could come in and prove us wrong. Let's see here. Dane in Preston, how do you know what Nuss can or can't take from defensive hits? I'm not saying he can't take a hit. I'm just saying you don't start a true freshman on the road against Alabama for his first ever start. You're going to lose 2 of the 4 in the offseason. Chad, unfortunately, historically speaking, you're correct. I really hope Damone Clark is not enticed to go to the NFL 2020 draft. Dude, he's been an absolute beast, and what's really sad is he has 100 tackles. He's not even made for this defense. A lot of people have criticized him for being out of position on coverages. He's made for a 3-4 defense, yet here he is with 100 tackles. What is this, 8 games into the season? Yo, he might, I mean, he's on pace to have 150. Throwing a bowl game, he'll break Brady James' record. Doing very well. Very proud of the job he's done. One of the very few veteran leaders on this team. Let's see here. Oh. What were Ole Miss quarterback stats last year? They were awful. Now Heisman candidate. We were lucky to have Max at this point. I'm pretty sure Matt Corral. Matt Corral. I'm telling you, every time he comes up in my head, I want to say Matt Corral. Not because it's in my head as that, but it's just that's the way my tongue wants to go. Matt Corral. I don't think his stats were that awful. He was pretty good both years. But I'd like to see TJ still on the I'd like to have TJ on the roster. Would you not feel better if he was still here? Man, no. Just honestly, no. I think if you throw TJ in the mix, it's just an even bigger log jam. I think TJ made the right decision for himself. I really do. LSU needs to get that bruising run game back as well. DBU swagger. LOL. Clark is gone. TJ is gone. Don't worry about that. So those are our comments from that. I do want to thank our sponsor tonight, Tramonte's Meat and Seafood. They have been great. They've been gracious enough to give out a $25 gift card to anybody who watches the show.
Tramonte's has meat. Tramonte's has seafood. Tramonte's has much more. Tailgating and Homegating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tramontes.com.
I cut myself off. Anybody who watches the show and comments on YouTube and shares on Facebook, sorry about that if that got cut off there. So look, if you comment on YouTube, share on Facebook, you're going to be entered for a chance to win a $25 gift card. I'll be drawing that within the next week. Thank y'all so much for watching. This is the LSU Football Fix. We want to have you as a part of the TigerBait community. We are a growing community, locally owned. We have tons of premium and free content. You can start it with the premium content for $1 at TigerBait.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and that bell. Thank you all for watching so much.